Alright, amazing morning, good evening po sa lahat. It's always a good day. Yan, para sa akin naman. No? So, once again, good evening po sa lahat or good morning, good afternoon po sa lahat. So, welcome po sa lahat. And of course, to my Team Code Black. And of course, to my, syempre, yung personal page po natin, Smart Hustle PH. Ayan. So, diretso na tayo. So, let's talk about, are you winning enough or losing enough? No? Kasi sa, tawag dito, yung pagbabalance ng success tsaka yung failure, it's a tricky thing. Okay, sabi pa nga na iba, you have to celebrate wins, big or small. You have to build momentum, you have to accumulate advantages. You have to feast on the feeling of success and let it feed your desire to do more. So mas gaganahan ka syempre pag mas naging successful ka when you even experience even small successes, nagbo-boost ito ng feeling, or desire to do even more. Okay, so it's nothing wrong, of course. It's just natural to celebrate wins, big wins or small wins. And on the other hand, contemplate on losses rather. Okay, malaki man o maliit. So kung normal ka na tao, okay, you will experience losses or failures. Okay, so in that case, we've heard a lot of kumbaga parang cliche, you are to push yourself to your limits, and reach beyond your current grasp. May ganun pa, no? You have to force yourself to try uncomfortable things, you have to step out of your comfort zone. Okay, and occasionally you will surprise yourself, and the rest of the time you will learn. So depende, iba't iba yung coping mechanisms ng mga tao. So medyo pasensya na, medyo may singaw kasi ako, ang hirap magsalita. Ang sakit pa naman. Okay, so medyo nauso ngayon because summer na. But anyway, moving along, talking about winning enough and losing enough. So some might say, yung iba kasi sinasabi, I don't know, I've just read this somewhere, 8 or 9 times out of 10 you should be succeeding, no? But 1 or 2 times out of 10 you should be failing. I don't know where some others may have gotten this measure, no? So mga 80 or 90% dapat nagsasucceed isang tao. But as the way I see it, I believe it's not the case. This is not realistic para sa akin. Okay, so what I'm saying is, you don't have to necessarily agree with me. So I'm just sharing what makes sense to me. Sabi ko nga, this is not the case. 80 or 90% kailangan maging successful ka or you are succeeding, 10 to 20% failing. So this is not realistic. Bakit? It's more failure than success. Dahil mas kadalasan nakakaranas tayo ng failures. And people who succeed have failed more before they even hit that mark or that success mark. Diba? So sabi pa nga, just if you go ahead and check even online, studies show that the richest 1%, no? 1% ng mga mayayaman, the richest 1% own almost half of the world's wealth. Isipin mo 'yun. 1% ng mga tao sa buong mundo, they own the world's wealth. Okay? 1% of the global population hold nearly half of the world's wealth. And ito pa nga, in 2021, sabi dito, 55% of the world's population held only 1.3% of the world's wealth. Kung 1% yung mayayaman and 55%, so more than, kalahati ng population ng buong mundo, ito yung kumbaga mga poor, the poorer people, hindi mayayaman, yun na lang gamitin na lang natin, they hold just 1.3% of the world's wealth. Sobrang layo, sobrang extreme. So that was 2021. Pero ngayon, 2023, it has been studied that the so-called poorest half of the world now holds 0.75% na lang. So kung nung 2021, 1.3, ngayon 0.75% na lang of the whole world's wealth. So halos nangalahati. Okay? So this means halos naging dobleng nagiging mas mahirap yung poorest half No? At kung ganun, so halos half yung mas lalong mas naging mahirap sila. So yung wealth na yun, napupunta sa mayayaman. So mas lalong yumayaman yung mayayaman. Okay? Nakakuha ba? I hope nakakuha natin. So ano ang mahiwagang tanong? So the answer lies on which mindset a person has. Okay? So most people might ask, depende kasi sa mindset. So it's either, most people might ask, why am I poor? Or why am I broke? Even to the point of blaming the rich, or even maybe the government. So there's always some other people or someone else or something else to blame. Bakit? Yun kasi yung pinakamadali. Okay? But sadly, a minority would ask, how are the rich doing it? Or not too many people would ask this. So it's a matter of mindset for me. So I don't know which mindset you have. Are you gonna ask yourself if you are in a situation na hindi ka, sobrang, you don't belong to the 1%. Okay? So which question is better for you? Why am I poor? Or how are the rich doing it? Or how he or is she doing it? Kung sino man yan. So sabi nga ni Michael Jordan, ito lang. Si Michael Jordan, I believe, kilala to si Michael Jordan. Kahit nga sa mga, sa mga Generation Z ngayon, I believe kilala pa rin siya. So sabi niya dito, I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot and missed. I've failed over and over and over again in my life, and that's why I succeed. So kilala si Michael Jordan, isa sa mga pinaka malulupit na the GOAT, greatest of all time na basketball player. So, pero ang nakikita lang kasi natin on the surface, yung successes niya, pero hindi natin, alam yung paano siya naging successful. How did he reach that certain level of success? Bakit siya ganyan ngayon? Bakit yan yung na-achieve niya at na-accomplish sa buhay niya? So, even Kobe Bryant, ito naman kwento ni Kobe Bryant, no? So, he already passed away, pero, kumbaga, he had this GOAT mountain na tinatawag. He went to these 6 Hall of Famer na basketball players at humingi siya ng advice. Isa na dyan si Michael Jordan, who he considered as his big brother, kumbaga. So, if you go ahead and try to check his, story ni Kobe Bryant, he went to Oscar Robertson, Bill Russell, Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan, at iba pa. So, tatlo to na pumunta siya, humingi siya ng advice kung paano mo ginagawa itong ganito, paano mo, how do you do this, how do you play, parang ganyan. Because he wanted to achieve a level of success, kaya lumapit siya dun sa mga successful na. So makes sense. So sabi nga niya dun, hindi siya his shots were always aligned, but they were short. Straight naman pero short palagi, so merong kulang. So his palms were big but they were not massive. So, baga marami siyang para sa kanya, yung mataas kasi yung standard niya of success, yung So, tinaasan niya yung skill level. He went and asked advice for people who were already there. So, 3 things I learned, na 3 bagay as I contemplated talaga kanina, no. So, unang-una, failure is inevitably part of any success story. So this is, kumbaga, halos a no-brainer na to. Failure is inevitably part of any success story. So, yung mga taong nasa taas, yung sabihin natin, yung mga top, 1%, yung mga mayayaman, halimbawa na lang. Or mga successful mga entrepreneurs, halimbawa na lang. Okay? Hindi man natin nilalahat. Meron naman talaga yung talagang legacy na pinasa na sa kanila. Pero yung talagang nagsimula sa baba, I believe they littered, parang ganun na, yung term natin, they littered with startups that went under, or ideas that never got off the ground. So maraming ideya, they thought of a lot of different, they tried different businesses. So naalala ko lang, and I'm not saying na I'm very rich or something like that, pero nagsimula kasi sa ideya. It started from the mind. So I started my business back then. Nagbenta ako ng chili garlic. in oil. Gumawa talaga ako ng sariling recipe, tsaka yung siomai, kasi paborito ko yung siomai, isa sa mga paborito ko. So, I was in the corporate world back then, but naisip ko parang kulang. I mean, kulang ng kinikita para sa akin. I want to earn more. Okay, so I did a side hustle. Nagbenta ako ng siomai, naggumawa ako ng anong tawag, yung munchkins, naggawa sa parang grahams, ganun. So, isipin mo, kalalaki kong tao, gumagawa ko ng mga ganyan. Usually, ginagawa ng mga luto-luto, ng mga, mostly, mga, not to mga babae talaga. Pero, yun, yung ginawa ko, and then, I started printing t-shirts. Inaral ko talaga, paano gumamit ng heat press. Nag-invest ako bumili ako ng gamit, mga nagkapital talaga. While I was working, single pa ako nun. So, naisip ko na, trial and error, keep trying. Okay? And until such point, so finally, mas natap ko yung digital na level, kumbaga. So I learned whiteboard animation, I did voiceovers. So nag-iba ako from traditional na, kumbaga, brick and mortar, kung mga tinatawag nila. Wala naman akong tindahan talaga noon, parang one man job lang, nasa boarding house ko lang gumagawa ako, nagluluto ako sa apartment, parang ganyan. So I discovered, I learned, more skills, and here I am doing this, multimedia content na production, ganyan. So anyway, like I said, failure is inevitably part of any success story. So did I fail? Of course, many times I've failed. Sobra. Okay? Mali yung pagkakaluto ko, ganyan, mali yung pagkakagawa ko, hindi ako masaya sa ginawa ko, ganyan, so it's part of any success story naman. Pangalawa, the greater risks yield the greatest reward. Ulitin natin na, the greatest risks yield the greatest reward. But you have to risk it over and over again until you create something that sticks. Tama nga naman, So hindi mo, success is not an instant things. I mean, success is not an overnight. There's no overnight success. Tama nga naman. And it's something that you get to hone, you get to develop over time. Okay? Kahit yung mga negosyante, malalaking negosyante ngayon, nagsimula yan sa mga, syempre maliliit lang, patsangi-tsangi, hanggang sa naging mall, ganyan. But of course, it takes a lot of trial and error. A lot of, A/B testing. May mga pag-ganon pa silang mga ganap, But I just realized that if you never try, you'll never wonder, kumbaga, you'll forever wonder, what if? What if? The greatest risks yield the greatest reward. Sabi pa nga ni Les Brown, naalala ko lang, I heard one of his speeches, he said, kumbaga, yung mga pinakamayayaman na tao nasa, hindi yung nasa libingan. Alam mo kung bakit? Kasi ang daming mga potential sana na nangyari kung hindi sila kumbaga natakot, na sumubok. Or marami siguro mga bilyonaryo na mga may-ari ng mga kumpanya or group of companies na hindi natupad kasi nga nasa utak lang, hindi ginawa, natakot kasi risk. Okay? But then yung mga nag-take talaga ng risk, yun talaga nakaka-benefit, nagre-reap ng mga greatest rewards. So, yun yung pangalawa. So, pangatlo is success or failure is never a one-size-fits-all concept. Diba? Hindi siya one-size-fits-all. Bakit? Kumbaga, kung ano yung success na para sa akin, what success means to one person may not necessarily be the same for another person. Okay? So, in the same way, one person considers a failure may not be the same for someone else. So, halimbawa na lang, para sa akin siguro, for example na lang, success may mean achieving financial independence. Okay, yun yung para sa iba. Meron naman para sa iba, it may not be just, financial independence, but for them, it's more about, it may mean having a happy family life. Para sa iba, yung ganun. Okay, iba-iba sa bawat tao. The same with failure. So, what may be considered a failure in one situation may be a success in another situation. Okay, halimbawa na lang. So, merong example na, failing a job interview may mean a failure sa taong yung nag-apply na hindi natanggap, na-reject. Okay? It could be a failure in the short term, but in the long term, yun pala, hindi siya natanggap doon kasi it was leading him to finding a better career opportunity or maybe even a business venture. O, di ba? So, hindi ibig sabihin, maybe failure siya ngayon, okay, in one situation, hindi naman ibig sabihin na failure ka na as a person or habang buhay ka ng ganun. Okay? So, yun yung tatlong bagay. And so, I believe the most successful people fail most often. Would you agree? Okay, don't okay, feel free to comment if you want, ano pa? For me, great success is built upon failure. Okay, so ito, tanong. Ano ang pinakamalaking pinagkaiba ng mga successful at mga hindi successful? Okay? Anong malaking pinagkaiba? Or pinakamalaking pinagkaiba? For me, the reason today's most successful entrepreneurs, the reason today's most successful entrepreneurs are successful is because they did not let their missteps in the past stop them. For sure, kahit ba naman ikaw, kung nakikinig ka ngayon, you've gone through a lot of failures, okay, in the past. Pero ngayon, nagpupursige ka pa rin, no? Tuloy-tuloy ka pa rin sa buhay mo or whatever dreams you're working on. Kudos to you. Congratulations. Okay, so lakihan mo pa yung mga pangarap mo. Now, on a secular level, okay, we'll try to make this shorter than the last time, no? On a secular level, imagine if you don't experience the risk of failure, or if you don't experience failure at all, or if you experience less failure, ano mangyayari? So, yung kumbaga panay-panalo ka na lang, panay successful, lahat ng gusto mong nangyayari. So, ano mangyayari? Puro mangyayari. So, you would be weak. Magiging mahina ka. Bakit? Because the moment failure hits you, and I'm sure it will hit you hard, and it will knock you out, kumbaga. No, you would not know how to get back up and tackle it. Kasi nga, sanay ka sa panalo, sanay ka sa success. So, this is not to romanticize yung failure, But hindi ko sinasabing ganito, dapat magdusa ka. Okay, magdusa ka ng sobra o sobrang haba or matagal bago mo makamit yung success, yung tagumpay. I'm not romanticizing failure, but I'm making a point that failure is part of success. Natural siya. Okay? Success consists of going from failure to failure without loss of enthusiasm. Sabi pa ni Winston Churchill. Okay? So, that was on a secular level. Ngayon naman, on a spiritual level. Dito tayo sa medyo mas malalim, spiritual level. Okay? So, sabi dito sa Philippians chapter 4, this was an epistle by Apostle Paul to the church in Philippi, or the Philippians. Alright, sabi dito, Philippians 4:11, not that I speak in respect of want. Okay? Hindi dahil kailangan ko, or, di ba? Nangangailangan ako, sabi ni Apostle Paul, for I have learned in whatsoever state I am, therewith to be content. Okay. Ito kadalasan, or noon, yung palagi nating naririnig na kung anong meron ka ngayon, makontento ka na. Yun yung parang gano'n, no? Huwag ka nang, siguro, yun yung binigay ng Lord sa'yo. Huwag ka nang masyadong, yung dating sa akin kasi, yung parang sinasabi na huwag ka nang masyadong mangarap pa ng mas malaki or what. Or, kung anong meron ka ngayon, pasalamatan mo, which is true. At yun na yun. Okay? Which is parang kulang, parang hindi naman gano'n. Kasi, if you are a child of God, you are a child of the King. Mayaman ang tatay ko eh. Kung mayaman yung tatay ko, di ba? So, is it wrong for me to ask, more than whatever I can imagine? Di ba? So, dito, I believe, he's not saying that these things, because he is in a state of need or lack, sabi ko nga kanina, rather he is emphasizing that he has learned to be content in whatever situation he finds himself in. So, he's not saying that he has reached, kumbaga, a state of complacency na. But rather that he has found a sense of peace and contentment na hindi nakadepende sa external factors. Okay? Or external circumstances. So, naniniwala si Paul, he believes that through his relationship with God, he can find peace and contentment in all situations. Okay? And isa pa dyan, sabi niya dito, just to continue, no, Philippians 4:12. Sabi niya dito, 11 kasi yan eh. Ito, Philippians 4:12 and 13. 12 muna. I know both how to be abased and I know how to abound. So I believe dumanas din si Apostle Paul ng kahirapan at how to abound, yung abundance, yun. Okay? So everywhere and in all things I am instructed both to be full and to be hungry. Okay, naranasan niya paano maging, busog at paano yung gutom. Okay? Both to abound and to suffer need. Paano magkaroon ng marami at paano magkaroon ng magkakulang. Okay? To suffer need. So if we are to look at Apostle Paul's background, although hindi naman I'm not gonna go deep into like whatever. Hindi naman ako Bible scholar, hindi naman ako pastor or what. But as I studied the life of Paul, he was a tent maker by trade. He was a Roman citizen. He was born Roman. Ayun. So I believe meron siyang dual citizenship later on in his life. But by trade, he was a tent maker. So ibig sabihin, skilled siya. Okay? Pag sinabing tent maker kasi in his time pagkakaalam ko lang, hindi naman to direktang there's no direct evidence na talang nilagay sa Bible. But if you were to look at kumbaga the history, patagpi-tagpihin man natin, in his time ni Apostle Paul, tents were used for different purposes. Halimbawa na lang, pwede siyang gawin na tent, shelter for travelers. Okay? So, syempre, disyerto or, diba? So, he could have made tents for them. Syempre, magkano ko yung tent ngayon? Diba? Yung tent nga legit, yung talagang halimbawa may branded nga tent. I think, siguro at least 5,000 pesos. Yung talagang decent talaga. Yung branded talaga, 5,000. Syempre, pag makabenta ka ng ganun. I mean, I'm not saying ganun ang quality na ginawa ni Apostle Paul. But back then, in his time, if you were skilled, a tent maker, I mean, you could have earned quite some sa skills na meron siya. So he could have made shelters for travelers, he could have made housing for the Roman soldiers. Sipin mo pinakamalakas na military or empire during his time was the Roman empire. So Roman soldiers, and maybe he made some tents for merchants and tradespeople. Yung mga sa atin ngayon meron ng mga kiosk, yung mga ganun. Okay? So noon siguro, 'di ba? If you've watched like movies like maybe Game of Thrones, mga ganyan, or Shadow and Bone, ganyan, you can see some scenes na merong mga tents na ginagawa for merchants, meron silang palengke, ganun, okay? So like I said, although there's no direct evidence to suggest that he made tents specifically for the Roman armies, but I believe he was skilled enough to gain him some wealth, at some point in his life. Okay? And then here goes, naging siya, he became an apostle, he gets persecuted and all and whatnot. Okay? But even in the Bible, sabi ko nga, Apostle Paul expressed his contentment in all situations through his faith in Christ. Sabi pa nga na his faith in God, and he says that he has learned to be content in both times. In both times, and in abundance and in times of need. So having been instructed by God to find satisfaction in all situations. And in verse 13, ito yung isa sa mga pinaka-common memory or Bible verses natin. I can do all things through Christ which strengtheneth me. Okay? So kadalasan ginagamit ito sa mga sitwasyon na mahirap o may pinagdadaanan tayo. Pero dito sinasabi, I can do all. Pag sinabing all, mahirap man o masaya, in abundance or in need, you can do all things through Christ which strengtheneth me. So ibig sabihin lang, hindi lang sa kahirapan natin na re-recognize o ang Diyos sa buhay natin, kundi sa times na abundant din tayo. So we are to recognize His sovereignty, that He is the owner of everything, na kung ano man ang meron tayo, galing sa Diyos lahat-lahat yan. Okay? Yung anumang desires natin na mabuti, galing sa Diyos din. Okay, whatever na needs we are or situations or problems we are going through, I believe galing din sa Diyos. Okay? At some point, He wants us to trust Him. Okay? So dito nakita natin, Paul recognizes that he can do all things through Christ who strengthens him. Meaning that he is not relying on his own strength, but on the power of Christ within him. So ang question ngayon, patapos na tayo. Okay? Did Kobe Bryant experience failure? Yes, of course. Kaya nagkaroon pa nga siya ng Goat Mountain. Okay? He asked for advice. You know? Did Michael Jordan experience failure? Yes, kakasabi na kanina, we quoted some of what he went through. Yes. So did Apostle Paul experience failure? Yes, many times. So marami pang personalities, even in the secular world or in the Bible, hindi naman natin maubos lahat yan. So these are just examples naman maibigay ko sa inyo. So like I said kanina, on a secular level, if you are to just experience successes na lang palagi, walang failure, then you would be weak. Now, on a deeper sense, if you imagine if you don't experience, failure, then you probably won't need God's help and His power through Jesus Christ. So, kailangan natin, let's be reminded na the reason you are going through difficult circumstances is dahil gusto ng Diyos na magtiwala tayo sa Kanya. No, we are to cast our cares upon Him. Because He cares and He loves you. Okay? So, just to end this, only 3 types of people na alam ko. Okay, this, you might have heard of this already, pero 3 klaseng tao. Those who make things happen. The first type of people. Ito yung tao na, kumbaga, talagang gumagawa ng opportunity. Gumagawa ng paraan. Na maabot yung success levels na gusto nila sa buhay nila. So, sabi nga ni Les Brown din, isa sa mga virtual mentors ko din, somewhere in the lines of, like this, is what you're doing right now giving you what you want? Yung ginagawa mo ba ngayon, is it contributing to the success na gusto mong maabot? Diba? Is it giving you that strong feeling of satisfaction and fulfillment sa buhay mo? Okay? Dahil kung hindi, if not, then you're gonna need the courage to do something differently. So kung whatever ang ginagawa mo ngayon, career man yan, negosyo, whatever, no? If it's not contributing to the success na hinahangad mo, hindi mo nakikita mo sarili mo na maging successful ka dyan, though you must be, doing something wrong. I'm not necessarily wrong, but, you would have, you would need the courage to do something else or something differently. Baguhin mo lang ng konti, tweak mo lang ng konti. Hindi naman sinasabi natin na kung ano man ang negosyo na meron ka ngayon or yung career na meron ka ngayon, yun na ba yung ultimate na gusto mong ma-achieve in the long run, or yung legacy na may papasa mo sa next generations mo, halimbawa. And is it giving glory to God? Ayun. So that's number 1, those who make things happen. Number 2, that the second type of person are those who watch things happen. Watch and wait things happen. Ganun. Okay? Sino ba sa inyo, or have you tried watching a sports game? TV man yan, or live. Okay? For example, maybe boxing, halimbawa. Okay? So, if you come to think of it, siguro, iba yung pakiramdam ng panalo ng isang player kaysa doon sa mga nanonood lang. Okay, siguro nga exciting man, halimbawa naglaro si Manny Pacquiao sa boxing, ganyan. So iba yung pakiramdam. Kahit ba naman ako, I was into sports back then in high school and college. So iba talaga yung pakiramdam na yung nanonood ka lang kaysa talaga yung naglaro. Okay? Kasi you don't get to enjoy the winning. Diba? Kung ano yung pinanalunan ng team mo or ng player. No? Siguro, masaya ka lang kung spectator ka, kumbaga, nanalo ka sa postahan. May ganun, But you don't truly win. just by watching others win. Okay? Now, I'm not saying masama yun. Huwag ka manood ng NBA or huwag ka manood ng mga ganyan. That's good. Sports. Mas okay pa nga yan kaysa news. Para sa akin lang naman. Manood ka ng sports. That's fun. Okay? But, more than just watching them win, na sila yung nananalo, sila yung nagiging endorser ng mga brands kasi sila yung nagiging MVP, meron ganyan. It's much better, mas maganda kung ikaw yung naglalaro. Okay? But in a sense, you get my point. So in the game of life, kumbaga, are you just a spectator? Do you just watch other people's, other people become, winners or become rich? Ikaw kaya? Why not you become a player? Okay? So, number 1, again, those who make things happen. Number 2, those who watch things happen. Number 3, those who wonder what the heck just happened. Ito yung nakakatawa. Ito yung mga taong talagang halos, happy-go-lucky, carefree, basta optimistic lang kuno, positive thinking lang. Okay? Tapos, kung nung meron dyan, di yun lang. Parang ganyan. So, ito yung mga taong halos, I'd say, I don't know, sobrang liit-liit ng pangarap or walang pangarap, ganyan. Okay, so alin ka dito sa tatlo? Okay. So, whatever measure or standard of success you set yourself in, ikaw yung magsaset ng bar. Okay? Kung anong gusto mong iset na success level or whatever standard of success you want to set yourself in, to answer the question, balik natin sa title ng podcast natin na to. Are you winning enough or losing enough? Okay, to answer that question, sabi pa nga ni James Clear, okay, if you've checked out the book Atomic Habits by James Clear, he would say, and I couldn't, agree more sa sinabi niyang ganito, win enough to keep progressing, lose enough to keep learning. Okay, sabi niya, win enough to keep progressing and lose enough to keep learning. Ayan. So I hope may natutunan tayo dito sa, very, I think this just quick, podcast. And, tanungin mo yung sarili mo. Is what you're doing right now getting you to where you want to be? Or to who you want to become? Okay, once again, this is Brian. Thank you so much for your time. And I hope to see you next week in our next episode.